Hi, I'm Chef Raphael and welcome to Quick and Simple Meals. Today's recipe is very lovely because it's 3 ingredients: Oreo cookies, milk and baking powder. And I'm making a delicious, I would say, dessert, because this is a cake made with, like I said, the Oreos. Have with some vanilla ice cream, strawberries on the side, and when you dig into it, heavenly. The cold ice cream, the chocolate taste. It's very simple to make. Let's get started and you see how simple it is. So if you're new to the show, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button so that you're notified whenever I have a new recipe out. This channel is all about bringing cooking back and basically making you appreciate cooking at home. Now, the recipe is simple, 3 ingredients. I'm using Oreo cookies, but you can also use any other cookies that you have. Now, what I did, I bought this box, which says 152 grams of Oreos, or they're actually 16 pieces in a box. So whichever you find available, wherever you are, you can use. But the idea is to first remove the cream. We'll remove the cream from the Oreo, and what you'll get at the end after we remove the cream, we'll get about 220 grams of biscuits. So if you're using normal plain cookies or biscuits, it should be around 220 grams. I also have 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder and about 220 ml of milk. Equal amounts of milk and the cookies or biscuits, and 1.5 teaspoon of the baking powder. So the first thing is, like I said, to remove the cream. Now I've seen recipes similar to this whereby the cream is still left. I'll show you what to do with the cream once we have removed it. So basically, using a small knife, the back of your knife or a spoon, just scrape them off. Even if it remains like this, it's fine. Just scrape most of it off. And again, if you're not removing the cream, just weigh it to about 220 grams of cookie. So the cream is on one side. Remember, again, I said you can still leave it together with the cookies. But now for this, what we do is we'll melt some chocolate, some dark chocolates or milk chocolate, or even white chocolate, and then which you'll use about 100 grams of chocolate, you melt it, you add it to the cream and mix. So that will form the layer. When you want to put a layer in between the cakes, because I'm going to bake this cake in 2 layers. So after finishing removing, you add milk. So about 220 grams or 220 ml of milk. So leave a little bit on the side. You can always add later. And then first we're gonna crush everything. Now, when it comes to crushing, you can actually do this in a blender. You can blend it, and basically you want it into a powdered form. Another way is exactly the way I'm doing it, using a whisk. So when you do this in a blender, it will be much easier in terms of getting the, or you can place it in a Ziploc bag and then crush it first using a wooden stick, spatula or something heavy, or a pan, and then mix it with some milk. I'm going to add the baking powder. And then basically mix it completely, making sure that you don't have any big chunks of the cookie. It already smells delicious, but remember, this is not a substitute for chocolate cake. This is just a quick recipe that you can make on a pan. You can also bake it and basically you get the consistency of a cake batter. Remember, the reason why this has very few ingredients is because remember, cookies have sugar, they have the flour, some have eggs. This can be a good eggless cake recipe, especially if the cookies that you have, for sure they don't have any eggs, which is really, it's actually possible, especially when you're buying store-bought cookies. And now what I'm going to do is turn on my pan, and then I'll set it at low heat. And before that, what I've done here is taking a grease-proof paper, cut it into the shape of the pan. Now apply a little bit of oil or melted butter or margarine. The whole idea is, when I'm doing this, is because I don't want the cake to stick on the paper, and I'm going to bake this into 2 layers. So for 2 layers, I'll basically divide my cake mixture into 2. So the first layer, just evenly spread the cake mixture to fit the base, and then grab a lid. It's now on low heat. Grab a lid, cover it, and this should take about 10 minutes. And what now I'll do is that when this is done, I'll remove and then bake the other mixture in the same pan. If you have 2 pans which are the same size, you can actually do it at the same time. Saves you some time. So it's done. First one is cooked. So 2 options, either you can slide it, and that's why we have the paper. So first of all, how you tell it's cooked is that the top will not be wet or moist, and it's still spongy. What I've realized is the pan that I'm actually using is slightly larger in circumference, so it doesn't give 2 exact sized layers. You see, I have edges on here. You have edges that don't have the mixture, but it's fine because I wanted to show you how to make it with 2 layers, whereby I'll add the cream from that we've made. So the good thing of having a paper that will make it not stick is the fact that you can easily remove it. When you taste it by itself, it doesn't have a lot of sweetness, and it's because actually when it comes to something like Oreo cookies, the sweetness comes from the cream, which in this case we have mixed with the chocolate. So we'll allow this also to cool down, and then I'll show you how to set it up into a complete cake. So cake is cooled down. I have my chocolate cream mixture. What I've done to get into this consistency is when you add the chocolate, the melted chocolate, it's also a good idea, if you want it to this consistency, you add some hot cream. You can also get away with adding some milk, and basically what that does is when it's hot, it also continues, it makes it into a creamier consistency like this. If you just add melted chocolate, you'll find that it tends to be a little bit harder than the way you're seeing it like here. So add a little bit hot cream or milk and then stir, and then you get to this consistency. So to put it together, having that, and then I'll spread it. Again, I said the cream is the cake just by itself. It's not so, it doesn't have a lot of sugar. It's not too sugary. So now we're gonna trim the sides to form a square. This is optional, but this is just for presentation purposes. Remember, these pieces are still perfectly okay. And this is what I was saying, the thickness is not that big, but it's fine if you're using a wide pan. You can either double the recipe, whereby you'll actually do the cake 2 times, whereby you have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. So there you have it. And then if you're going to stack it, which is what I'm going to do, then there you have it. So this is 2 portions. Again, it's optional. You can decide to have just the 2 layers or 4 layers. And then now I'll show you how to serve it with some ice cream, or like I said, you can leave it as this and then just dig in. So there we have it. Served, you can either serve it plain without any fruits like strawberries or something. It's up to you. Because it's soft, it's actually just as it is, it's perfect. But my favorite is when I have it with some strawberries on the side, or raspberries, the ice cream, vanilla ice creams especially. The whole combination is just heavenly. And I hope this is something you're going to try even tonight. Like I said, you can use any biscuits or cookies that you have in the house. Just crush them, the milk, baking powder on a pan. By the way, you can still use it you can still bake it in an oven. But I think the whole point of this recipe, as I made it, is to show you how simple it can be with very few ingredients. Hope you've learned something. I've been your host, Chef Raphael. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Goodbye.